What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. So last video, when I talked about how the S&P 500 was consolidating for about 2-3 weeks, when everyone was calling for a crash, I said that the S&P 500 was likely to hit all-time highs or even surpass it, since we were less than 2% away from all-time highs. And look exactly what happened. We got two fat green candles and surpassed new all-time highs, hitting S&P 500 6280 or a SPY 625. And so, what is the most likely outcome over the next few weeks? Now, a lot of people who have been bearish, right, over the last few weeks because we've been consolidating, now they've turned extremely bullish. Now they're calling for all-time highs. They're saying S&P is 7,000 or 8,000. We're seeing some 8,000 call flows for the end of December. But I'm here to tell you that it's likely that we're going to get some sort of correction over the next couple of weeks. A lot of people have been calling for a big crash for the S&P 500 to retest 5,800 or 5,700, and that the bubble is extremely elevated for the S&P 500. But I'm here to tell you that what's more realistic and what's more likely is that we get a test of the exponential moving averages, or even a little bit dip below it and then continue higher, because the S&P 500 MACD is still turning bullish. So you can see here Astrozan, he's been getting a lot of engagement recently. He's been calling for this is like a vertical move. We should get a crash real soon. And then Ron Walker, which is pretty notorious for calling stock market crashes, but always being wrong. He's saying that we're going to retest like 5,800, 5,700, or that 50 period moving average. But I'm here to tell you that it's much more likely for the S&P 500 to simply just hug the 9 exponential moving average, which is this yellow line here. You can see that over the past years, whenever the S&P 500 has gotten way too above the 9 exponential moving averages, we retest it or we test the 20 moving average. But I think the 20 moving average in this case is a little bit less likely because it's sitting at 574. But you can see that it likes to hug the 9 exponential moving average. So that's currently sitting at 596, but I believe that next week it can move up to around 605, which is good because that's around the retest of the all-time highs, which is sitting around 610. So what's more likely is that we probably get a pop next week and then we get a drop into around that 610 level. Whether or not we break 610 has yet to be seen, but currently this is the most realistic expectation. A lot of people are calling for a crash to 570, 575, 580, or even down to like 520 again. But know that while the MACD is still bullish on the weekly time frame, there's no reason to call for such a crash or have some such sort of expectations. You're basically just going to blow your account. So next week, what do we have to look forward to? We have CPI on July 9th. We have PPI on July 10th. These could be market movers. And we have initial jobless claims, and then we have consumer sentiment. So all of these economic reports could move the market next week. So one other thing I want to point out, and it's going to be in my next video, is I want to talk about why I believe the S&P 500 is still primed to continue higher, even though we might get a correction over the next couple of weeks. And that has to do with Apple. If you look at Apple specifically, right? Apple gotten a bullish MACD cross on the weekly time frame since December of 2024. So throughout this year, remained in negative bearish momentum up until this week. So Apple could be a leading catalyst or a leading stock to drive the S&P 500 even higher over the next couple of months. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm going to make individual stock updates in my next few videos, so go ahead and check that out. And go ahead and check out my Discord because I make a lot of updates on my Discord. I talk about how the S&P 500 was still less than 2% from all-time highs. We're going to break out in July. We got that breakout, and I also post individual long-term and short-term setups. So go ahead and check out my Discord, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.